What's up, everybody? We're going to be talking about forestry today, and I got a couple of tips for you guys too. My first thoughts and impressions on the forestry update, and what are your first thoughts? Leave them down in the comments. But first off, okay, so the first event we're going to be looking at is the roots. And really, there is only one thing to consider when you're doing this event, and that's look for the green root, or the blue root, or I like to say the mint colored root, whatever you guys want to call it, but just make sure that you're chopping the magic root, not the normal roots, because you get 6 or 7 anima compared to just the normal 2 to 4 anima for the normal roots. But you know what? If you wanted this to happen more often, guys, just make sure you're not carrying a leprechaun charm or a bee on a stick, because there are only 2 events that can spawn if you do that. That event is always good for anima. I think I just got almost 200 from it, maybe like 100. But let's actually go see. Look at how much you can get. I'm sure I got a couple of 1s from the very low level barks, but the 6s and 7s for the anima, 24 and 9, so much. One more event we have here, that's the woodcutting leprechaun. It's a relatively good event. Most of the time when you're chopping wood, though, you're relatively close to a bank, and it becomes a pain in the ass or just a troll for people to have the leprechaun charm. So make sure you have the leprechaun charm for a reason, and for some reason he doesn't take things out of the wood cutting log basket. So if you guys know what's up with that, let me know. It could be that I need to combine it to my forestry kit, but I don't know. If you do, leave it down in the comments. And we're going to be talking about the bee event. This is the worst event so far. It's a guessing game, and you have to try to find which of these flowers pair need pollinated. So one of them works, one of them does not. Make sure you remember the one that works when you get the first XP drop, and then when you get a next XP drop, run between those 2 flowers. And you're gonna do this over and over. I finally figured out which one it was, and I found them. So run back and forth between these 2 until the flowers change. See, the purple has just shot up, and we have a very short window to find the flowers that need pollinated before more flowers show up and make it even harder to figure out which pair is necessary. So make sure you get them. I was a little too late before those new flowers showed up, but try your best to get the knowledge of the pair before the new flowers appear in the next rotation. But when you finally find which 2 flowers need pollinated, go back and forth again. And this event is by far the longest. It's gonna take twice the amount of time of other events. Some of the other events have gone on a little bit longer too. Like the sapling event does drag on a bit if you let it, but it can go by super quick if everyone's paying attention. Then after a good long while of pollinating all of the flowers that you possibly can, let's go ahead and see how many I've done so far even. We've got 19 pollinations in that rotation, and I did not even get a reward. And I still have that bee pollen in my inventory, which it's supposed to take it out of your inventory automatically. So I take that as my indicator as you didn't get a reward at the end. But I did want to go ahead and show a time that I did get a reward for doing the bee event. And when you do the bee event, and it correctly gives you rewards, you get some seeds that's not bad, and a couple of strange fruit. So bee on a stick, for me, personally not worth it, kinda trolly, but maybe you guys like strange fruit. And last but not least, everybody, we are coming to the sapling growing event. This is, in my opinion, the best teamwork building thing that Jagex has done in a long time. See, Chino just called B3. That means bark is in the 3rd slot for the mulch. Chad just called R1. That means rotted leaves are in the 1st slot for the mulch. It's a puzzle that everyone's trying to solve together, and if I was better at typing, I'd be able to help. But eventually, everyone gets it at the exact same time. R, D, B. And then you start going to those respective piles. The rot pile, the droppings pile, and then the bark pile. And then that's the 100% mulch combination for this sapling. As long as everybody does that, we'll get to the end of this event much quicker. And if people don't do that, the sapling can actually die. But this one gives you some pretty good anima as you're doing it. For each successful combination, you get 6 infused anima bark, and that's so much of a reward in itself for maybe not getting a reward at the end, because it's a 50-50. And when you begin, just pick one specific pile, fill all 3 of your mulch slots with that pile, and if any one of those slots are the correct slot, call it out, and then do it again with another pile. Eventually, everyone's gonna know what the correct answer is, and at the very least, you'll know what the correct answer is within 3 tries if you just try every pile. We were lucky enough to get some bark this time, and several leaves as well. I've been chopping for quite some time, so don't expect to get that many leaves in one event, but they're quite nice. So what are my first thoughts on forestry? They really help to make wood cutting fun. And the community aspect is great, but I'm super curious how long it's going to take the forestry chat to devolve into Wintertod type of chat. And if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. But I really like the rewards. The outfit is a bit quirky, but that's the fun of RuneScape. And the anima, I think it's a decent rate to gain it. I've been working for almost 18 hours on unlocking everything in there, and I haven't like abused a CC or anything to get to that. So I think it's actually pretty well balanced as far as rewards are going. I cannot wait to see what the teas bring and the two-handed axes, but at the same time, I'm really concerned about these events because the bee event is so long. It takes much longer than the rest of the events, not to mention you're going to get much less anima in the meantime while you're doing it. And while you do all of these events, you get less of a return at the end because it's not necessarily guaranteed. So it could actually just be a waste of time for carrying around the bee on a stick. The leprechaun charm, I love that little bad boy, but I tell you what, if you're standing right next to a bank, guys, don't be a troll. Just take like 6 more steps and go to the bank. And I gotta say, for the final 2 events, the default events, I think Jagex knew what they were doing with these ones. The roots is flawless. They actually had to patch it. But I will say the sapling event is much better in my opinion because it involves a team building aspect, and I love that for this game. So my personal opinion, I wouldn't use the leprechaun charm or bee on a stick because maybe those 2 things won't pop up and we'll only get the 2 good events. And that's it, everybody. If you got any thoughts about forestry or what you've been doing for the past couple of days cutting wood, leave it down in the comments. I'm Dirty Bobby, and I'll see you all later.